and then we'll count down, and I'm just seeing how everything's working.
You did great with the studio, but
You like it?
yeah.
And all this stuff. This is what I collect. In fact, this is the new one I got. These. I have boxes. That one's from the 40. Falstaff. That one's from Brazil.
The score?
Let's go.
From these?
Those are from Africa.
How many times have you been to?
Africa?
You hunt there?
No, these are from Africa. These are Africa.
How do you bring them back?
Those are from Africa. Now they become so you have to take them to a veterinarian to certify that they have no sicknesses, and then they'll ship them here, and then you pay exportation taxes from South Africa, and you pay importation taxes from the U.S., and then you have to pay a certain shipper to send it to a certain taxidermist here. Tanto. Not even worth it. I've been there several times. I've been to Northern Africa when I was in France, and I worked in Western Africa. And then these are the ones in South Africa. And the ones outside. One of them's from Mozambique. But just interesting the way everything is. Africa's the best. All right, let's go ahead and start off. 5, 4. Back at you and gloves off, and today we have a great guest, Manuel Osorio. How we doing?
Very good, Professor. Glad to be back.
Oh, I'm glad
New studio.
Yeah. What'd you think?
It is awesome. Love the decor. It's a very homey atmosphere here. I love your other studio, don't get me wrong. The residence down in Central Laredo, but this is very, very nice.
Well, thank you. We kind of did this in the spur of the moment, and we had a bunch of this. Had a bunch of them here that just collected over the years, and basically I got my kids and I said, let's put it together. And they're the ones that said, okay, put this one here and put that there, and that's what it's all about.
Hey, but this is art, and I appreciate the art that you have going on here.
Well, thank you. So how have you been?
Good.
What do you see? The last time we talked, you were running for office.
City Council, District 3.
And we had several running, and I think everybody came down, and Mr. Martinez, I think he's doing a good job.
He's doing a very good
I think
job.
everybody's behind them. I think everybody wanted to voice their opinions of what Laredo needed in general.
And he's very good. He's very attentive in listening. I've had conversations with him after the election, and he's got that vision for our district, which we were missing. We weren't being listened to. And he listens, and he's trying to do his best in his seat in City Council. Unfortunately, in my own opinion, I think our city is dug a hole from previous years that we're trying to get out of. And they've inherited a hole.
You're not the only one that says that. There's, I'm a small business owner, and there's a lot of people that own small businesses. And small businesses are actually the backbone of a community.
Just say
I was talking to a good friend of mine last week. I won't mention his name, and he's an entrepreneur. He has restaurants. He has this and that. And he said, Paul, I'm selling everything. I'm moving from Laredo. Because I don't think Laredo is going to be Laredo within the next 5 years. And that kind of scared me, because this person is one that's always intuitive about what's going to happen in the near future, and one that's always bringing things to Laredo, okay? And for him to say, I'm moving out, made me think.
I'm not a business owner myself. I work for a small business organization. And we feel the pains of every code change, every ordinance change, every tax change, which is not city, but we know, appraisal. Appraisal values went up again this year, and substantially. Why do we need to run away the backbone of the community? Why? We just saw the report. Laredo's the #1 in that report, kicked Los Angeles' butt. Why? If we already know, we've got a gem. Laredo is a gem. It's a hidden gem of the United States. Why are we alienating? One, two, making it harder for these small businesses to grow. Travel around town, how many shopping centers, storefronts are there building? And they're empty. Why?
No, you're absolutely correct. I have come down to a lot of conclusions. We are the number one largest port, but we're also the number one in contraband, making us the number one in contraband in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I think a lot of these businesses are just laundering for the underworld. That's my opinion. I hope I'm wrong, but that's basically what it looks like. Unfortunately, we have a lot of good people that are here that are struggling to make ends meet. And you see it in the different areas of Laredo. We have a very low poverty level in Laredo. I spoke with a candidate yesterday, and he was telling me, there's parts of Webb County that are in third world conditions. It is true. We need to get out of that hole that we're in. We've been there for a very, very long time. And I don't, I'm going to kind of change that, leave it there, and I'm going to jump into the council. I think the members of council now, I think they're good people. Despite what the hate mongers say that, they're corrupt and this, whatever. I mean, we can put that aside. I think they're trying to go forward, but they're not getting the ideas, or they're being connived into ideas that are not beneficial for the sanctuary of Laredo.
There is a roadblock. Somewhere along the line, there is a roadblock. We hear every day through other medias, on Facebook especially, some of the groups here in town, show me a person that doesn't have skeletons in their closet. One, we are all human. Everyone in that city council is human.
Sure.
And yes, we all have our own demons. We all have our own skeletons. Put that aside. What they have and the ideas that you touch base, we have to figure out a way of how and why that roadblock is not letting us continue the mission. They're good. We elected very good people this year. We ran a very good race. I myself ran a very good and clean race with Mr. Martinez on next to him. When I did not make it to the runoff, support was behind him.
Sure.
Because I believe in the vision that he has for the community. Not only for my own district, because that's the district I live in, but the community as a whole. What ideas can we get to the city council? They are just a city council. Who puts all this in motion? Well, that's the actual each and every department in the city. So I think that's where we should start. Start getting the departments broken down into sections and where the problem lies.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I've always said this, and I've been saying this for the last several years. The problem with the city is not the public officials. The problem with the city is the ones that are feeding them what's going on. Since 2000, when I moved back, we've had 4 mayors, or 3 mayors actually, 3 mayors, which was Betty Flores, Raul Salinas, and our current mayor, Pete Saenz. We've had numerous city managers, which at that time was Flo Peña, then it was Larry Dovalina, then we had an interim and stayed there for a while, which was Ralph Garcia, then we had Carlos Villarreal, then we have Olivares, and we had De Leon, and now we have 2 there. And they've all done a good job in running the city. People may not like the attitudes and feelings aside, they all basically did a good job for the city. But we still have the same problems. But you have all these changes, and we have countless of city council that have gone in. I mean, I forgot many of them that have gone in and gone out. But there's at least over a dozen, okay, that you can count. And when you look at the department heads, some of these department heads have been there 25, 30 years. I think now it's time to let them go. They did some rearranging and musical chairs, but they still place the people in the same places again. I mean, we really need to start, you know what, I'm sorry, but the city's a business.
Yeah.
It's a corporation. And sometimes you have to let people go. If they're fulfilling their needs or they're not fulfilling them, they have to go. So I think we need to have some type of committee that is civilian run, not picked by the city council, to oversee, not the council, the department heads. And I think that needs to happen, because if they continue and the ideas that are being funneled right now continue, I mean, the hole's only gonna, the shovel's going down. They're not gonna make steps to go out. They're gonna continue going down. And that resonates to the small businesses that are leaving. And to me, it's sad when you get people that say, you know what, we're leaving, we're gonna be moving down San Antonio, we're gonna be moving down to Austin, we're gonna be moving to the Hill Country, we're gonna be moving to Dallas. You know what, I'm gonna be moving to New Mexico. And you're like, you've been here for a while, what's going on? And it's not retirement.
Yeah. It's seeking better opportunities. It all comes down to, they're all entrepreneurs. They're looking out for themselves and their family. Ultimately, that's what we all want to do.
Sure.
I look out for my family. You look out for your family. They have to look out for their interests. The city council is a business. The city is a business in itself. Now, the old adage I was thinking when you were talking about the rearranging, it's what they say in Mexico, barres cuando viene la suegra.
Right.
But all you're doing is sweeping under the rug, and that's it. You're really not cleaning, because that same idea that has happened is still there. You're just moving the idea to the right or to the left, top or bottom. It happens everywhere in every workplace. When you have toxic breeds toxic.
You're exactly right.
End of the day, it's the same thing. You have to clear the infection per se, in medical terms, in order for somebody to get better. And that's what I see. I see that the change is needed down in the department. And city council, I think, has the idea of doing it. I think they have the willingness to do it. Because we have a very fresh city council that, God willing, is still not bought out.
You know, what you said about buyout, I've heard that over and over and over, how they've been bought out. I don't think so. When you got you have some good heads, you got 4 lawyers,
Yeah.
you got a doctor, you got an entrepreneur, you got some businessmen that are going in there, a police officer. I don't think that's going on. I think what's being in there is they're being connived by the trustworthy. Or you trust that person that's telling you, you know what, that was fixed. I already fixed that. Oh, okay.
You got fixed?
Oh, you know what, they complained that there was a pothole over that street. Oh yeah, no, don't worry about it, we took care of it. And it goes on. And all of a sudden that pothole, yeah, it was fixed mediocrely, and then the next rain it's washed off again. So that's what's going on. And then the public official ends up with a not a smear, with a constituent that's going to, next time he sees them, is going to tell them off and say, what you tell me off? I did everything right. I fixed that. And that's what I think happened. I think ideas that are brought forth, like when they changed Bartlett into one ways and so on and so forth.
The first or second time.
And so you get people now, I think there was a petition that came up, and now they're saying that petition's old and this and this. Wait a minute, the people were set one way. Start paying attention to it. If it's sometimes right for us to say, you know what, the guys that we have messed up. Let's put it back the way it was. Or, you know what, we have this new study that it's going to flow better because the dangers of the school that's there, or what have you. I voted like a plague. I didn't even go down there because the last time I was there, they almost took my front end. I don't even go.
It's become easier. Because that's my route. Because I work out of the north side. The first time they switched it was hell in a handbasket. Now that the light here is on Hillside, smooth. It's better. But we go back to, don't just do it. there has to be the why. We go back to the why. It all goes back to education. For somebody with an education, you have to always have the why. Why and education. When you teach students, so this is how you're going to do it. Well, this is the why you're doing it. And this is how we're going to get to it. Not just, oh, by the way, now it's going to be a one-way, et cetera, et cetera. What was the reasoning? Where's the study? And I think that's where people start getting pissed off because, hey, from one day to the next, this is happening. Well, this is why. But it's all science. It goes back down to a science. It is better now on Bartlett, by the way.
Yeah, no, right,
And McPherson's the next street that I think should have a very good study. Man, especially during the school year. Don't get out of there at 4:45 and 6:30 because you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, McPherson's shot. But again, that comes down with planning. What happened with our planners back then? Why were they doing this? I think back then you did have a nefarious attitude within a bunch of people within the city.
This is going back how many years?
20 years, okay, 20 years plus. They had people that really, that patron system mentality that was there that we inherited, okay? So I don't think it was the city council as per se or who there. I think it was just things that were done beforehand that we inherited. And it's been trying to change, and some people are still there that basically, thank you for your service, here's your plaque.
Your retirement.
Maybe McDonald's can help you. That needs to happen if we're going to progress forward, which is another word that I love, the word progress. Because people say, oh, we're going to progress. We're progressive. Yeah, but where are you progressing to? That way or that way, or up or down? And progressing is progressing,
But there's different
Yeah,
avenues.
but there's, you can progress into becoming a drug dealer or a junkie, or you can progress into doing the right road. You know what I'm saying? It's progression. So that's a great word that when somebody says, oh, we're progressing, that always clicks me. Where are you progressing to?
It's a double meaning.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Okay, pero I think Laredo has the chance because they have people like you, people that are concerned in their communities that are standing up now and saying, you know what? Let's do something.
We have, Laredo is young. Laredo has a very young population. I'm really hoping for next year's census. I'm dying to see that census. How Laredo grew. The 2020 census. How much did we grow? Our median age, our average age, income. Why? Because we saw it in the last election. How many candidates there were for so many districts, which means people want to get a voice. And that's where we as a generation, the younger generation, has a fault. We want it, but we don't do anything about it. And that's the problem. We have to get out. The voice has to get out, not just the select few. It's a community effort because if you see the city as a corporation, corporations are run by board of directors. Who's the board of directors of the city? I think it's the community. It's all our tax money at work. We want to change in the community. Change begins within. Not the same old mentality, well, he bought me a carne asada. Well, this, which I think sometimes that's where our own fault lies. We become complacent, or the mentality of, who cares who I vote for, it's still going to be the same thing.
I think that mentality is what's out there.
And that's very sad.
Because I've talked to people, and the first thing that they say is, no, why vote for them? It's the same thing. It's the same old group. It's el primo de este, el primo del otro, el hermano de este. I go, no. We have people now that are running. They're coming in there. I think this election that's coming up per se in Laredo, especially not only the city council and the state all the way up, I think it's going to be a lot different. I think this election is really going to change things.
It for sure is going to change a lot of the races that are going on. We just saw that candidate that launched for representative, also from Laredo.
From the
Congressional race. And still haven't heard anything of announcements for local races as far as sheriff, I think sheriff up for re-election this coming cycle. So there's going to be a shakeup. It's going to be different than our norm, for sure. Now, what direction are we headed to? especially congressionally, the congressional race is a very important race. Again, we go back to the adage, we all have skeletons in our closet, we're all human.
Mhm.
But what is the better good of our community? Not the better good that somebody from out of town is telling us that is the better good, because they don't live here. Only the people in our district, in our city, know what's best for us. That's my opinion.
No, and your opinion is well taken, because that's basically how it is. We have I think the Democrat Party is going to be split.
Mhm.
And it's going to be split between the millennials that are not centered, they're more centered left, to the centered right of the Democrat Party is going to be split. You have a Republican running for that race. That's an interesting race. You have a socialist Democrat running against a old conservative Democrat running against a conservative. Where are the values of who's going to go what? You know, people say, no, that, you know, one person told me, you know, I said, you know, that individual, they come from a party of socialists and communist type mentality. That they bring a lot of hate behind them and they spew it like if it's nothing. I go, is this person that we've never heard of going to be that way? You know, I mean, I'm looking at the rest of that party, that new Justice Democrat, who they voted in, how they're acting now in Congress. I don't want another one like that. Understand what I'm saying? I'm sorry. You know, and people say, no, they sound like communists, they sound like socialists, but they're not. They're Democrats. So then I think the Democrat Party needs to go if that's what it is. You know, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and walks like a duck, it's a duck, you know? So that's the problem that we have here. I think you're going to see a lot younger voting come out. I think you're going to see the violence that has spewed in other cities, because when these people ran, I think you're going to see that violence here. I hope I'm wrong, but this election is going to be a hot election here. There's going to be a lot of money being spent here, because you know the way some of these elections, the camioneros and everybody else, how they work, how it's going to change that energy. And I think it's going to be a hot race, and it's going to be a hot race in the sense of it's going to be very violent. And you also have the sheriff that's up for running. I don't know if there's people running against him, but it's going to be interesting to say the least when it all comes down.
We touched base on the socialism thing a couple of minutes ago. If none of these millennials, the young, that's the group that's really calling for the socialism. If it's the Bernie Sanders group, as I like to point it out. Have any of them opened a book or seen on TV what's going on in Venezuela? And it was the same ideal. How did he get into power? Same ideals. That's what we're seeing now. Why isn't anyone waking up about this?
I think there is people waking up. And I think people are understanding that it's here and it's already in our face. And I think that we need that change. You know, I look at the Republican candidate and they're all, and if they're listening, you all can come in here to the show anytime and talk about it. You know, Congressman Cuellar and Ms. Cisneros, come on in. You know, we can talk about the ideas. And I would love to hear what you all have to say. But I think that Laredo cannot ignore the fact that our congressman has brought money to Laredo. A lot of money to Laredo. So he has helped Laredo. So it's going to be a race that the Democrat Party is going to be split. Mm-hmm. You're going to see it.
People don't want to understand, in my own opinion. Research the bills, research our airport. Yeah, we only have 2 airlines, 3 if you count Allegiant. So it's a small airport, I have to fly out of San Antonio. Sometimes it's more convenient because you know there's more airlines, more options. Especially if you're taking a business trip. when we take our business trips, I mean, we fly out of here proudly.
I fly out of here.
This is my town. I'd rather leave that money here for my parking. That was a whole other deal when they started the parking at the airport. Pay parking, drive to San Antonio, park downtown. You're gonna get charged.
Park inside the airport in San Antonio, you're gonna get charged.
You're gonna get charged. I did that for a trip to Mexico. 50, 60 bucks for a 3-4 day parking. The infrastructure, our runways. Do you know how many flights they have in the private charter terminal a day?
They have a lot.
695. 695 flights that have to be what? Refueled. So people don't see that. Airport got money due to the Congression.
Sure.
Congress gave us money because who pushed it?
Of course.
Bridge revenues, bridge infrastructure, import-export. So whoever's spewing this is talking out of facts. Money has been coming in. Not necessarily where people might want to see it down in the grassroots, but in the bigger, we have to look at the bigger picture. This is a big picture, not a small picture. We have to stop thinking the I. What's in it for me, but in it for the whole. What's in it for the whole is te va a convenir. It's going to be beneficial for you at the end. So it's going to be a bloodbath, Professor.
It's going to be a good one, you know. And I've been involved with some campaigns for friends and protected some individuals because of certain parties that were broken up between the different heads, if you want to put it, the little chieftains that used to be here, you know, where that candidate's from the judge, that candidate's from the sheriff. See, that's what it was in the early 2000s. And it kind of just dwindled away and everybody just kind of walked all over the place, and everybody's for themselves. But now, with this, you're going to see those ideas of the Bernie Sanders type activist that's going to come down. You're going to start seeing, hopefully we don't, because they get very violent. And if you're going to be having a sign and they come up and they start beating you up, or all of a sudden you start seeing an Antifa movement up there. Once you start seeing the Antifa movement move here in Laredo, then you're going to know that where it came from, that angle. That's the only thing that Laredo needs. And you have 2 colleges here that have a lot of young kids that can get their minds brainwashed by some of these loons that are teaching in there. Then I call them loons because, I've taught in college as well, and I've seen some of my colleagues that were there, and they'll come out with liquid paper because they didn't want to have a drink, so they'll be smelling liquid paper, and you're like, hey, chinga, pues andas ido, so what's your problem? Some of these guys are they should not be